Well, the migrant crisis has completely overshadowed the real reason David Cameron was in Spain and Portugal. That is, as we were discussing with Fraser, to talk about renegotiating Britain's treaty with the European Union. So, as the Prime Minister managed to achieve anything he set out to do. Vincenzo Scarpetta is a policy analyst from Open Europe. He joins us live now from Westminster. Good to see you. What do you think of the status of the Prime Minister's campaign to keep the UK within the EU?
Well, it's clear that now this huge crisis is top of the agenda in the European Union, and that means that the David Cameron demand for renegotiation are slipping down the agenda, but that doesn't mean that Cameron is not going to achieve anything from these visits. I think these visits that he's making to other European capitals are hugely significant for a very simple reason, because in order to achieve a meaningful reform of the European Union, you need to have every single European Union country on board. And these bilateral meetings, I'm sure that both in Spain and in Portugal, the Prime Minister, David Cameron, has been talking to his counterparts about the migrant crisis, but I think there has been time to discuss the demands for renegotiation and reform of the European Union, and Spain and Portugal are two key partners.
We're just looking at pictures at the moment of the Prime Minister meeting his counterpart from Spain, both of them the leaders of centre-right parties. Listening to the press conference earlier on, it seemed that the two men were singing from the same hymn sheet when it came to free trade agreement and red tape.
Yes, absolutely. Spain and Portugal are, as I said, our key partners, and are two countries that do see eye to eye with the UK on a number of issues. I could mention liberalization, deepening the single market, the digital single market, the energy union, the free trade agreement with the United States. These are all issues where Spain and Portugal are allies of the UK in Europe. So again, I think, of course, I think David Cameron is well aware of how important this crisis is for Europe as a whole, including the UK. But in any case, this renegotiation and reform of the European Union is not something that David Cameron is planning to wrap up in the next couple of days. It is underway at the moment, is a long process, and it entails a lot more visits, I think, to foreign capitals, and a lot more talks with foreign leaders, because, as I said, David Cameron really needs to have everyone on board.
But as you mentioned, Mr. Scarpetta, these are not bilateral negotiations with every one of the other member states of the European Union. I mean, are people here in the United Kingdom who are hopeful that David Cameron can achieve substantive change, pinning their colours to the wrong mast here?
I think David Cameron can achieve substantial change and substantial reform, and I think all we need to do is to give this renegotiation some time, because we know that the referendum will take place at some point before the end of 2017, so there is plenty of time for talks, and I think these bilateral meetings are an essential part of it, because the big challenge for David Cameron is to explain to every single foreign leader that his demands for reform of the European Union are not just about British exceptionalism, but are demands and reforms that, if implemented, can make the EU a better place for everyone, for all the 28 member states.
Vincenzo Scarpetta from Open Europe, thanks very much for your input this afternoon.